Okay, let's do Volkswagen. Um, Volkswagens, I like Volkswagens personally, uh, but kind of the range of price we're talking about in the year models, which probably from the late '90s through the early 2000s. Uh, I think you need to be real careful about buying a Volkswagen from that year, those years. They had some different problems. They had a lot of window regulator problems, which ain't major, but something like I said there again, if you don't do your own work, you have to have it fixed. So that's one thing to consider. The interiors of those cars are really nice. I mean, the instrument panels and things are really nice, but I've seen a lot of them just look pretty ratty now. I don't think the quality control is there. The materials are pretty rough by now. I've seen radios with all the buttons worn off of them. I've seen door armrests with all the crap worn off them. That just smacks of cheap materials. The four-cylinder engines are time belt. They're all time belt engines, and they're all interference. So that they're again the same deal I've told you in other kinds of cars. You got to keep a good timing belt on them and replace the water pump. Uh, Now, Volkswagen has got some issues that you need to be very careful about. There's a couple different versions of Volkswagens. That's a Passat or a Jetta or a Golf. Uh, that's all I'm going to concern myself with, really. For one thing, I think it was a '99 through the '04 or '05 automatic transmission. That was a Volkswagen automatic 4-speed transmission. That thing's a mess. There's some of them have lasted 60,000 miles, some of them have lasted 160,000 miles. But the problem is, when they go out, they have a lot of plastic parts in them, evidently, and they are a nightmare to rebuild. So it's expensive to rebuild them. People say that the word on the street is on those transmissions that sometimes they'll be okay after rebuilding them, sometimes they won't. So for this guy, there ain't no way I'd buy an automatic '99 through '05 Volkswagen at all, ever. Uh, and even the later ones, when the Jetta was restyled in '05, uh, they went to an Ace and Warner transmission, the Tiptronic, I guess I call it. And they even had problems with those. That wasn't even a Volkswagen transmission anymore. I don't know what kind of bad effect they have on transmissions, but they have some serious problems. So I would avoid all automatic Volkswagens just as a rule of thumb. I'd get a 5-speed, and then there again, if you don't want to drive 5-speed, then that takes them out of the running. And there's also, you've probably seen some of those Volkswagens that have the 1.8 liter turbo engine in them. I had a Passat for a while that had that engine in it. It's a turbocharged 4-cylinder, and it's a sweet engine. It really is. And man, it's powerful. It's a nice car to have. But those engines have a bad, it's not so much a sludging problem, an oil sludging problem, but they have I would call it a carbon problem with the oil, because that's exactly what, if you ever drop the pan on one that's having a problem, it's what it looks like it has in it. It doesn't have like gooey sludge. It looks like it has just burnt carbon through it. And evidently those engines run so hot that they carbon the oil up in the head, and then it's just like those Dodge engines I was telling you about. The oil can't return back down. Part of it is that they can't return through some of the passages quick enough, but also that junk gets back down in the pan, and the oil pickup on those things is just minuscule. And that thing, the screen on the bottom of the oil pan, the pickup down there gets clogged up, and then you lose your oil pressure. So if you ever look around at one of those cars and you see one that starts flashing oil pressure, stop engine oil pressure, stop engine this, or you're running it and you're sitting there and it sounds like it's got solid lifters in it, it's got click, 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 click. They don't have solid lifters in them. They're not supposed to make that noise. So don't buy. In fact, I would absolutely not recommend buying any Volkswagen with a 1.8 liter turbo engine in them. And I know there's some of you guys saying, I've had one 190,000 miles and it doesn't. Well, that's good. That's great. But A lot of people have had a lot of trouble with them, so I wouldn't recommend them. Buy one with a 2.0 liter, just a regular old gas burner engine. TDI engine on those, I've seen enough about those to scare me away from them, and I think with the price of diesel now, I'm not sure it's worth the trouble. So, yeah. So that's my opinion on Volkswagen, guys.